I was getting ready to go to the funeral of my beloved mother-in-law, Sarah. Then, suddenly my smartphone started ringing.
Don't you dare come to the funeral home. Go back to your parents' place in the suburbs right now.
What? Confused, but obeying, I headed to my hometown. Later, my husband, Tom, told me about his estranged and contemptible sister, Linda.
Months passed away, right? How much of the inheritance do I get?
I can't stand the thought of her preying on Sarah's estate. Determined to protect my mother-in-law Sarah's honor, I resolved to confront the sister-in-law, Linda. After a fierce battle of words, Linda ended up in a dark, cold cell. I am Kathy, just an ordinary housewife, living happily and lovingly with my husband Tom, who works as an office employee. It seems that many women struggle with how to interact with their husband's family after marriage. Especially between daughters-in-law and mothers-in-law, there's talk of subtle and bitter conflicts. I too had such a murky image of it. But fortunately, I have been able to lead a trouble-free married life in that respect. Yes, I got along well with Tom's mother, Sarah. For instance,
Kathy, what do you think of this cardigan? I thought it might suit you, so I knitted it.
for me, thank you. The color is lovely, and you're so good at knitting, Sarah.
I'm glad you like it. It's getting colder, so take care not to catch a cold.
Yes. Oh, Sarah, if you don't mind, could you teach me how to knit sometime? And so on. Sarah's smile was always filled with kindness. I received a lot of help from her, even financial support at times. I loved my kind mother-in-law so much, thinking of her as my second mother. But then,
Kathy, Mom passed away in the hospital.
I just heard about Sarah's passing the other day. I was so shocked by her death that I couldn't eat for a while. But I guess this is the reality I have to accept. Thinking back, Sarah had been suffering from terminal cancer for years and had been undergoing chemotherapy. She must have gone through such a tough time fighting her illness. Whenever I visited her, Sarah always greeted me with a smile. She must have been pushing herself just not to worry us. For her sake, I couldn't just sit around and cry. I should at least send her off with a smile. So, I was preparing to attend Sarah's funeral at the in-laws' place. Then, at that moment, ring, ring, ring. My smartphone on the table started ringing. I looked at the screen, and it showed the in-laws' home phone number. Maybe Tom had forgotten something at the venue since he went ahead for the preparations. With a light heart, I picked up the phone. But then,
Kathy, don't you dare come to the funeral home. Go back to your parents' place in the suburbs right now.
Tom's panicked voice came through the phone. What? Go back to my parents' house? And why are you in such a hurry?
Sorry, actually, there's a bit of trouble at the venue. I'll explain everything once we meet up.
Naturally, I was confused by his words. What kind of trouble could it be? And I'd never seen him so flustered before. All right, calm down. I'll head to my parents' place as you said, but
Take a cab. I'll be there soon too. Bye.
the call ended abruptly. Honestly, my mind was full of question marks. But if Tom insisted, there must be a good reason. So, feeling a strong sense of urgency, I changed my destination from the in-laws to my parents' home.
Kathy, what's going on? Isn't today Sarah's funeral?
Well, come in first. Let's start inside.
My sudden return surprised my parents. When I explained the situation, they were as puzzled as I was earlier. But we couldn't really understand until Tom arrived. We waited at my parents' home, feeling anxious. About an hour later, Tom rushed in.
Kathy, are you okay?
I'm fine, but what happened to your hand? I saw that his hand was bandaged. He touched his injured hand and looked very troubled. Then, he started to explain the situation at the in-laws and the series of events related to it.
Actually,
It turns out Tom has an older sister named Linda, 3 years his senior. But this woman, Linda, was quite the black sheep, causing trouble for the family since forever, it seems. I've heard she's been in and out of the police's hands so many times. Who knows? Sarah never gave up on her, always apologizing to everyone around. And she even went so far as to cover Linda's debts.
I'll definitely pay you back. Please, Mom.
Sarah believed her daughter's words. But Linda reneged on her promise and left home. I heard she's been cut off from her family and has been radio silent ever since. So Linda showed up at Tom's parents' place for the funeral of her mother. After all this time, you'd think Linda had grown up a bit, but then she opened her mouth and,
Mom's dead, right? So how much am I getting from the inheritance?
Tom was, of course, furious.
is that the first thing you say after your mom passed away?
He then loudly informed her that she had long been written out of the will. And then he told her that for Sarah, the daughter wasn't Linda anymore, but Kathy. In other words, me.
How, Kathy? Who's that? How can she inherit anything when her own daughter gets nothing? That's ridiculous.
Linda, learning this, turned red with rage and stormed out. She grabbed Tom's phone, hurled some nasty words at us as a couple, and then left her parents' place, driving off. Tom's hand was bitten and injured during that incident.
I locked the phone remotely right away, but I'm afraid she might have gotten our address and seen Kathy's face from the photos and contacts.
I can't believe this. I was speechless after hearing Tom's story. I had never heard about Sarah having a daughter, and the fact that she was such a terrible person was a shock.
I'm sorry for keeping my sister a secret. It's just family stuff, you know.
Tom apologized with a pained expression. We encouraged him while thinking about what to do next.
Maybe we should stay away from the house for a while, just in case.
The address here hasn't been leaked, right?
Yes, it's not in my phone.
So, for safety, we decided to stay at my parents' place in the suburbs. The next day dawned. The sun rose, and I could hear the birds chirping.
I'm off to work. Call me on the spare phone if anything happens.
Okay, take care. I waved Tom off to work with a smile. But inside, I was a bundle of nerves. What if Linda shows up? What if she attacks me? These fears tormented me constantly. Whenever I closed my eyes, I saw Linda raging at the family home. However, life at my parents' place turned out to be quite peaceful. Days passed, 2, then 3, without anything unusual happening, and peaceful times continued. The anxiety and tension that had been troubling me gradually melted away, and now it had significantly lessened. I wish this whole issue with Linda would just vanish. I was starting to think more optimistically little by little. That's when things started to shift.
Excuse me. Are Tom and Kathy here?
That day, a local police officer came to my parents' house. What's the matter? I asked hesitantly, feeling a sense of dread. And as often happens, my bad feeling was right on target. Apparently, there had been a burglary at our own house. They had just received a call from the scene. I contacted Tom, and we rushed our own home together. When we got there, sure enough, the place was ransacked. Every drawer was opened, as if a storm had blown through.
Is anything stolen?
Well, prompted, we started checking around the house with the police officer. But it seemed like our valuables, like the bank books, were safe for now. Meanwhile, Several hundreds dollars in cash that should have been in the drawer was missing. According to neighborhood inquiries, residents had spotted a suspicious woman several times in the past few days. That woman was seen in front of our house, yelling, "Come out and give me back my money." Tom, could that be?
Probably. No, almost certainly Linda.
Tom nodded, looking into my eyes. We explained the recent incident with Linda to the police, including the disruption of Sarah's funeral, the stolen smartphone, and Tom's injured hand. The police were relatively swift in their response, probably because we had already filed a report about the smartphone. Afterward, we went to the police station for more detailed questioning and managed to return home as the evening set in. The burglar was caught soon after. Indeed, it was Linda, the sister-in-law. According to the police, she had brazenly stayed at a nearby hotel after the crime. It seems she got the boot while casually getting a room service massage. Of course, all those expenses were paid with the money stolen from our house. While she admitted to the crime, she denied the burglary aspect. The details were unclear, but it seemed that family-related crimes were not so straightforward. Anyway, we were called back to the police station. Led by an officer, we were ushered into a room. There, a woman with a bunch of body piercings sat in a chair, her face set in a sulky expression. As soon as she saw us, she burst out,
Come on, Tom. Doing this to your own family, seriously, that's just messed up.
Linda was not remorseful at all. In fact, she didn't seem to think she had done anything wrong. She probably maintained this attitude throughout the police interrogation. According to her, she didn't break into the house with the intention of burglary. She came to talk about the inheritance, but since we were never home, she had no choice but to break in through a window. As for the stolen cash, she claimed it was just to cover her nearby accommodation expenses. In other words, in her mind, it was all our fault. What a convenient and selfish way of thinking. To think that such a dangerous person bore a grudge against me. What would have happened if I had encountered her alone? The thought made me shudder. Meanwhile, Tom and Linda were locked in a fierce argument.
After years of absence, you show up acting like family. That's just appalling. And give me back my phone.
Fine, I'll return it. You locked it so quickly I barely got to use it. Just like you. Anyway, family is family, right?
Mom and I cut ties with you long ago. So the inheritance has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, right. Leaving money to someone who's not her real daughter instead of her own. Was that old lady senile or what?
Don't talk nonsense. Before I knew it, I was shouting. I just couldn't tolerate Sarah being insulted like that. In response, Linda glared at me with displeasure and said,
You must be that Kathy woman. The one who took the inheritance that was supposed to be mine, huh?
I didn't take anything. I didn't even plan to. It's just...
Just what?
Linda advanced menacingly. Embarrassingly, her glare made me cower. The words I wanted to say hid in the back of my throat. Seeing my fear, Linda snorted disdainfully, smirking triumphantly. Then, a police officer who was present coughed and interjected.
Let's all calm down. It seems there's a lot to discuss. So please, have a conversation among the family members first.
He must have judged it to be a family matter from our interaction.
We can deal with the report and other matters afterward.
With that, he managed to defuse the situation. Later, we arranged for a formal meeting at the in-laws' home. In a room covered with carpets, Sarah's relatives gathered around a large table in a tense atmosphere. Linda was the first to speak.
If you divide the inheritance, I'll consider all past offenses forgiven. You should be grateful for my generosity, huh?
Linda's brazen behavior was as relentless as ever. Well, that's to be expected. A person who hasn't changed in over a decade isn't going to change in just a few days.
Hand over the inheritance. Drop the police report.
She was unwavering in her self-righteousness, repeating it over and over. Of course, we had no intention of complying with her demands.
I've said it before, but you've been written out of the will, so you can't get anything from Mom's estate.
So, why don't you just give me the money after you receive the inheritance?
That's absurd. That's not going to happen.
Tom said with frustration. I tried to calm him down and asked her calmly, Linda, did you read all of Sarah's will? It mentioned you, you know.
I'm not interested in anything other than the inheritance part. It's probably just full of grievances against me.
No, Sarah was worried about you. She also had regrets.
Then all the more reason to give me the property, right?
Linda snorted dismissively. I was boiling with anger. At the same time, I was deeply saddened. She only saw her parent, Sarah, as a convenient tool or something. I think Sarah left you nothing because she realized money couldn't change you. I continued without waiting for her response. I cannot give a single penny of Sarah's money to someone as despicable as you.
What a thing to say. How audacious for a total stranger, not even related by blood.
I won't be lectured by someone who disregards familial ties. Faced with my direct confrontation, Linda was momentarily taken aback. Then, her eyes narrowed sharply, glaring at me. Her expression was ugly, terrifying. But this time, I couldn't look away. There's nothing more to discuss. Please leave. I stood my ground against the intimidating Linda. Soon enough, whether out of rage or perhaps fear, she leaned across the table and tried to grab me. But she was quickly restrained by Tom and the other relatives. 10 minutes later, she was forcibly removed by the police who had arrived. Throughout, she continued to hurl insults, but by the time she was put into the police car, she was visibly deflated, her shoulders slumped. Later, I heard that Linda was sent to prison. Our complaint was officially accepted. Apparently, she had a significant amount of debt borrowed from loan sharks. Her fixation on Sarah's estate likely had these hidden motives behind it. Regardless, she was destined to lead a wretched life, never seeing the light of day again. A parent's heart unknown to the child.
It's just desserts for someone like her.
Back in our neatly tidied home for the first time in a while, we reflected on the recent events. While gazing fondly at a photo of Sarah, Tom said,
I was really surprised to see you so boldly standing up like that. Kathy.
Well, I read Sarah's will, didn't I? Actually, I had read Sarah's will again the day before our confrontation with Linda. I hadn't really had the chance to absorb it before. It was filled with her passionate feelings, almost like a letter. Every word she wrote stirred something in me. Sarah always cared for her child. Without harboring any resentment, she was just concerned. And she departed bravely into the sky, wishing for our happiness. She must have wanted to do so much for her biological daughter. Holding the cardigan she had given me, I clenched it tightly, tears welling up as I remembered Sarah. Trying to comfort me, Tom said,
Kathy, could you maybe knit something for me too?
Yes, of course. I'll show you the knitting techniques Sarah taught me. Smiling, I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. We will make good use of the inheritance. For Sarah's sake, I firmly vowed to live a happy life.